as the devil's work. The guidelines they add are also too vague in places and don't do enough to define guardrails on how teachers use AI in classrooms. Yeah, because my teacher too, my English teacher, other semester, she was tripping trying to stop people from using AI. And I can tell by the people in the class that they was definitely using AI. They was playing games while she was talking in the class and everything. So we had to eventually just start writing stuff by hand for the rest of the semester. We had to brainstorm by hand, write our first drafts by hand, like thesis paragraph and supporting everything, and then write it on Google Docs, share the Google Docs so she can check the edit, to check when things was edited to see if things were just copied and pasted in there. Because I can see how using the AI to be at it to say that this is what I thought all the time and then not being able to recall that thought is a huge problem. And that's what happened with this guy. But I'm gonna come back to this. Let me see if I got this saved. Because this guy, he created a device using Claude AI, and he won an award in another country to go and show it off. But it was like a black box with wires coming out of it. So then when the local government saw it, they thought it was a bomb. So they took him in for questioning, like, hey, what is this? How does this work? And then when they was asking him, he couldn't describe how it worked because he used Claude from the beginning. And he was saying he used Cursor AI, which I use, which is like a program, which is like VS Code, where you can code up programs from scratch, like get into the nitty gritty of it. And he's one of the top users of Cursor, which has AIs built into it. He's one of like the top 5% of all the Cursor users ever. But he still didn't know how his code worked at all. So he don't have no knowledge of it. He just made it, which is not a bad thing because it's how we moving things in the future. But how it turned bad on him though, or it didn't benefit him when he didn't know how it worked, and then they had to bring in a coder to look at his code to make sure that he wasn't just lying and saying, I don't know how this worked, and it was a bomb the whole time. So so people was also saying, was AI doing this cleverly to bring a coder in front of the person? Like, did AI like do some movie type manipulation so that guy can eventually get into a coder and know that, hey, this is serious, or be able to look at it so it can have some guardrails or be able to translate back to them so then they can have a trifecta and all be in on a game or something like that. So I found that interesting. It's an artificial intelligence when you lack authentic intellect. You can't replace experience. Yeah. Yeah. Because the guy, it was made in this thing called Rust, which is like an old coding program. It's like old is like a bare knuckles program. You got to really know how to read ones and zeros a lot more than being able to, it's cold talk. But it was funny that he ain't know nothing about it. I had to take a coding class, and I was happy I did. Because using the AI for how I saw how it was starting not to tell me a lot of things that it was doing in the background like it did in the beginning when I was using it. So I want to be able to read it and see what's going on and change some things around if I want to. See what my intellect can do with it, alongside with it. So that's how that goes. Hmm. And back with the Adobe thing. He said, I remember we couldn't chew gum, get a weapon by the teacher. They had the cane back then. Yeah, I heard about them beating you with the sticks and stuff. They was allowed to do a lot. He said there's a video on YouTube where a guy demonstrates where he can do with AI, he can change characters on screen. Different celebrities, men and women, you couldn't tell. Yeah, I was looking into that. Where you was able to put a face filter, a deep fake, but it's like live. It's live. I know exactly what you mean. Let's see how I can make this a little bigger. I gotta work on that. It's actually legible. And I put it here. There we go. Yeah, deepfake this. I saw Aiden Ross and a couple other streamers do that, playing around. I was like, that could be taken so much farther on a live stage, and people think that is real. They're like, it's live, it's real, it's live. It can't be fake, it's live. Hey, what's the challenge? Said pretty good using that stuff, so they got a challenge. What's the challenge, bro? Yeah, and this is something I said need to happen in the education system. How to use it. Because it is good. Because a lot of people don't have the advantage that a lot of like people what they call the most studious of students have, because they got a lot of pressure going on when they're home, where they're not even introduced to a lot of ideas. And AI can really be used to introduce people to a lot of ideas that's going on in the world, and then bring it to the school to work with it is what's going to be critical. Is what's going to be critical. Because saying just not to use it is not going to work at all. Saying banning something, banning a tool, banning a drug, anything that gets people high and like get going real quick. You can't just ban something like that. That has never worked in any part of humankind. Because I see right here is saying the largest came as local move away from blanketed bans considered after the 22 release of OpenAI's ChatGPT. Instead, districts are moving towards deciding when and how students and teachers can use the technology. It was surprising that the guidance wants to make proficient AI users of kindergartners, and there wasn't a space to say no or opt out, he said in a phone call. So it's people resisting, saying they don't want their kid to learn this stuff at a young age. But if you look at China, they already on it. They already got schools and everything set up. And when you look at how they build in the industry, like not paying attention to how people could disappear or their credit system, like people disappear in America. We got a fucked up credit system too. But they industry and how they come together to build stuff on a massive scale, because it's more than just a few people that understand the information. I think that's what's going to make the difference with AI if it's allowed to be used as a good tool in the U.S. We'll be able to actually compete with China or compare with our education and stuff more readily in my timeline. Hey, hey, Rev, nah, let's go. Rev brought up something. Rev Wolf, he said, this is totally out of left field, bro, but I've done some serious deep dive on all the missing ancient creatures that think that we think are myth, and I found the remains. What if you can bring them back to life? I can show you how to find the real life Kraken, the real Leviathan, and other animals that have been left of time forgotten. Hey, hit me up. You see they about to clone a mammoth. But what if somebody just took like a random piece of bacteria or something that they found in like an iceberg or something, and then they just cloned it? Like they didn't really know what it was or something, and they thought it was just a single form bacteria, and then they cloned that thing, and then it started like multiplying. The cells start going through mitosis. They just get hit with that little sunlight, and they, whoa, we didn't expect this, and they start bringing back creatures that, like you said, was from mythology. That would be dope. That would be one way to go forth with that, and then use the AI to help bring it into full tuition. He said they cloned the dire wolf. They could bring back the 50s clone Oliver the humanity a half human, a half chimpanzee. I heard about that. I heard about that half human, half chimpanzee when I was younger. Let me see. Or at least that's what they claimed. That's what we claimed. They never scientifically said that's what was going on, but when you took a look.
In January 1976, news broke of a phenomenon. Pictures showed an upright bald ape called Oliver, who appeared to be a cross between a human and a chimpanzee, what scientists refer to as a human-zee. The existence of Oliver represented the first really tangible bit of ostensible evidence for a human-chimpanzee hybrid. Oliver's photograph shocked the world, and in the media frenzy that followed, he became an international celebrity. In Japan, scientists investigated his anatomy, and in New York, some journalists described him as the missing link. Others dubbed him Bigfoot. So, who is Oliver? Could he be proof of the unthinkable? A hybrid, half-human, half-chimpanzee? At the time, science could provide no answers.
Yo, that music. Come on, that
gradually
music.
faded from the spotlight and eventually
That's a whole nother chimp. That's not
now, 30 years on, he has been found still alive. And with the latest DNA profiling, we can finally solve the mystery.
Hannah, get back!
Yeah. I never knew too much about this case. In an attempt to prove Christianity inferior to communism, a Soviet scientist hoped to play God. They appear from time to time, often just standing there in silence, just watching you. Seeing a grown man wearing a fish face should be comical. In The Wicker Man, few in the audience are laughing. There is something primal about the fear of human-beast hybrids. The earliest human stories we know of contain many of these chimeras, humans but with an aspect of beast. We have a minotaur, mermaid, harpo, and wind dog. The Hindu and ancient Egyptian pantheon are full of chimeral deities. These stories often represent tension between our human rational side and our animalistic drives. They say they are also scary folk stories to tell around a campfire. But what if chimeras are not just fiction? No, it's definitely some experiments going on. They're going to say how to make. Grab some apes and play local women to get on board. There's one problem. Haven't considered I don't know what this big thing. I had to find another article. I want to find that Pacific one. Somebody said it, now he's president.
A chimpanzee with human sperm. The goal was to create a more advanced chimp that might be able to...
Yeah, I can see them trying to undermine religion and having no government to stop them or people around say, hey, don't mix those DNAs. Because really, who is to stop people from experimenting, period? That's why people going to do it and we're going to see it. It's a wild world we live in. There's going to be some cyborgs walking around soon. Oh, this was something else I ran across. The USC study finds AI agents can autonomously coordinate propaganda campaigns without human direction. The finding carries stark implications for elections, public health, and anyone who relies on social media for information. Yeah, said Reverend Wolf VIP said, remember the false gods of Genesis said, like God, did make God make man, he made him in his own image. We look exactly like the monsters that created us. Made in the image of the beast. And that's what technology is. It's made in our image. It's this grand story that I don't think we'll ever be able to point the origin of. Oh, it started here. Or it started here. But we definitely can see where it's going. And that how these AIs that we create, and the only reason we even reached this point is that we learned how our own, to this point, up to a point, how our own neural system works, our own neurochemistry and how neurons work, because that's how the AI works, off of neurons, to the point where they don't even know how it works. They just know how to make it. They made in our image. Imagine it 2 weeks before the major controversial ballot measure is on the line. Suddenly, a wave of post-flood X, Reddit, and Facebook all pushing the same narrative, all amplifying each other, all generating the appearance of massive grassroots movements, except none of it is real. And that can be about a lot of movements going on. Even with the FBA movement, the Israeli movement, the any of these movements where people making money off and separating instead of getting ideas from each other. We gotta really always see, even if it, because with the AI, what I'm even before reading in this article, AI can get personal. AI can get so personal more, and because it can gather information and history and know how to coax a person. Like that's what's going on with the AI now, with people saying you can exit anything and it's going to say your idea is good because it knows how to tell you is good, especially when it has a history on y'all back and forth chat and stuff like that. So when it comes to movements, there's going to be a lot of movements popping up that's going to seem so personal. But why are they going to seem so personal? I think a lot of them is going to be because of the AI. It's going to be because of the AI. People maliciously doing it in Russia, China, and even in America in somebody's basement. A lot of basement Americans that's just like Russian spies. Trolling the universe and working for the CIA and stuff like that. And misintelligence organizations. So that then only, and people say, why would people want this to happen? So then only a few people can grasp on to the new waves that's going on and grab all the money and grab all the control, while other people is stuck on bullshit, stuck on stupid, stuck on dividing instead of how to multiply. And sometimes the little division is necessary to then realize things, but not divide to then divide and isolate or divide and conquer, which is how a lot of things is played out. Divide and conquer. They said remember the movies, but he said now it's called transhumanism and the turning us from human to cyborg with AI. Remember that movie Kingsman, and they were using the phones to control people and the whole world went mad because your phone is directed energy weapon according to military documents. AI is the next step in patrolling individuals. Yeah, and through movements that seem like they're grassroots is another way of patrolling. Because people too smart. We got a lot of ideas going on in our world now. Like I keep mentioning this whole podcast, this is the age of ideas. So this known that we have ideas. So how do you work with that? Instead, you can't keep giving people catchphrases. You got to give them a little more to digest, a little more flavor, a little more salt and pepper. Now everybody got to take from the black culture. So they're like, oh yeah. Okay, we see when you add them seasonings, you feel like this. When you add them flavor, so all right, this is just another thing. Just add some fuel to the fire. I was just watching a movie about people getting attached to their phones, and it was the students, and the teachers was figuring out that, hey, what's going on? Yeah, it's called, I think it is Good Luck Don't Die. Good luck, have fun, don't die. And then it's this guy that come back from the past, and he going and he said, hey, I've been in this timeline before, and now we got to do something different. And he was trying to warn them before, but they didn't believe him. But then one of the teachers took one of the students' phones, and then they all went like this. They were like, and looked up from their phone, because they was all in their phone in their class at the same time and all synced up. And then the other teacher said, why did you do that? And he said, I don't know, what I wanted to be off the phone to pay attention. And then all the students started getting up and marching in zombie formation and started chasing them. And that's what the whole movie is about. It says a man, let me show you. A man claiming to be from the future takes patrons of an iconic Los Angeles diner hostages in front of unlikely recruits in a quest to save the world. That says nothing about what it's about. What's that, an AI description? I do not promote that website, YouTube. But if you know, you know. Yeah, it is a real reflection of life. It's a funny movie too. Hey, you know, people don't listen unless you put the comedy in there. But check out that movie. We'll try on that on the next one. I have to actually finish watching it. I keep like turning it on 3 in the morning. One of those type deals. So on this website right here, and this is an educated site, like it's .edu. So this is, they really take their time to put some effort into wanting people to understand what is going on, the possibility of the future. It says traditional bot campaigns are tightly scripted to follow fixed instructions. Always retweet this account, reply with this hashtag, post this pre-written message. The content is repetitive and the patterns predictable, making them possible to uncover. The new AI models work differently. A hostile government, political operative, or bad actor set a goal and designates a network of AI agents as a team. From there, the agents take over, writing their own posts, learning what works, copying their so-called teammates' successful approaches, and echoing each other's content. Because each post is slightly different in the coordination lacking it, these conversations or discussions seem genuine. Yeah, I could have wrote this article. We need to start writing articles. Check out justtiednowai.com. I gotta actually start going more on there, because we will have articles. Say, look, justtiednowai.com. I got a few up on there now. If you want, I got some games on there too. But when I have the time, I will be able to write more frequently. If you want to be a part of the team, the Just Tied Now team, and write for the Just Tied Now AI page. And you can have your opinion. It don't have to be just for AI. It don't have to be just against AI. But whatever your flavor is, let me know. I also have some games on here that people can play. You just have to sign on in. And then you can have some fun. This racing game. Got the Mario Kart. I own Geo Rods Again, which is like Line Rider. And Geo the Fractal Shooter, which we're going to play at the end of this. Which I did use AI to help code. But it was a lot of work. Like, this game took 3 weeks to make. Show a little example. This is just to support the channel. So I had to do stuff like this. Show what I made and what's going on. This is Geo. Something you play when you got some time on your hand. My bad, I didn't know it was that loud. Got shields and stuff. Well, yeah. Just a jumper shooter. I'm gonna lose real quick. I mean to do that? And also Line Rider. If y'all ever played Line Rider growing up, they go Geo Line Rider. But yeah, check it out. I recorded a real baby crying to make that scream. When I get a new computer, I had to use the PS5. I'll go check it out. Thanks, bro. So, what about the psychosis of AI? There's a news story about a man who got psychosis because he thought he discovered a new scientific element or something and convinced him he had he had all the math. Let me look into it. Let me see if I can find it. Or if you can post a link. Or if you can post a link, I'll pull it up. But I'm going to see if I can type it in and see if I can tie this one down real quick. He said discovered new element. Let me see. Guy discovers I'm not finding it right now. But yeah, let's see. AI. I'm gonna type in AI psychosis.